Hi, and welcome to the next episode of Belly to Belly. And we're here today to talk about SelectUSA 2025 preparation. And we're with a great friend, Jessica Reynolds from the Maryland Department of Economic Development. And so it's so wonderful to see you today, Jessica.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
So it's Friday, so welcome to the end of the week. And we're talking to companies who have either committed to coming to SelectUSA or they're thinking about it. So we want to kind of give them as much information as we can about, of course, a great resource that will be there in the state of Maryland and the Department of Commerce. And then also give them maybe some ideas about getting the most out of the event. So let's start with the Department of Commerce. So what do you all do to help companies expanding into Maryland from all over the world?
Sure. Well, we're always happy to welcome foreign companies into the state of Maryland. We offer a range of support and services. We have different incentive programs that can support companies. So of course, we're happy to speak with companies about those. But we also offer sort of that hands-on assistance to understand where are the sites that are going to fit your requirements. What are the different rates and costs of things that you might need? Where can you find workforce? What's the environment for the sector that you're in Maryland? What are the assets? And we can also sort of custom set up site visits for you. If you're considering Maryland, we can set up an agenda for you for meetings and potential sites where you can locate. So that's sort of a pretty common suite of services, I would say, at the state level. We can connect you to our local governments, all of that. One thing I will say that sets Maryland apart above and beyond for foreign companies would be our Global Gateway program. And that program offers companies up to 6 months free participation in one of our 16 participating business incubators and accelerators. So for some of the smaller, medium-sized businesses that are looking to get into the market, but might not be ready to take the full plunge yet, we're really happy to welcome you through this program, which is really a soft landing with additional support and connections, networking, as well as the space element. You'll actually have an office here and can have your staff here for 6 months so that you can really get to know the market.
Well, it sounds like one of the other advantages of that program is you also come into a community of people who are going through the same experience and probably a lot of collegiality and sharing of resources and things like that I would imagine even go beyond the sort of direct effect that the state provides.
Absolutely. And these are all incubators that have, businesses that in those sectors, et cetera, that are both US based, as well as they are all hosting foreign companies. So you get a mix of local and US sort of businesses, collaboration, and opportunities to network and build your business.
Very cool. So I know SelectUSA is a home game for you. It's in the state of Maryland. We think of it as Washington, D.C., but it's just across the border. And you were at the first SelectUSA, so you are the veteran here, and this is the 11th year. So when you think about SelectUSA and really thinking about it from the foreign companies' perspective, why participate? Why is it so important for companies to come to SelectUSA?
Right. Well, talk about great bang for your buck, because you get to come to one event which is sponsored by the U.S. federal government. You have the various federal government staff and agencies there if you have questions at that level. But you also have, last year they had every single state and territory were participating. So with one visit you can narrow down your short list by meeting with the various states, locations. The states can also help direct you within their state. So, even if you're thinking, okay, here's 3 states, but, a state's kind of big, where do I go within that? States can work with you, connect you to local governments. So by the time you leave, and many of those local governments might also be represented there, we will have, I think, 9 or 10, local economic development offices with us as well as the state level at Commerce. So, you can leave with like really clear connections of where you're going to go for your next steps. In addition to that, most of the states and other economic development organizations there, they're bringing the people who are most pertinent to this conversation, right? They're bringing the people who know incentives. They're bringing the people who are used to working with foreign companies. If you go to a trade show, you might be speaking with someone who's more of a expert in that sector, but they may or may not be sort of the people that usually work with foreign companies. For the most part, the people there, they're all like the right people for you all across the US. So it makes it easy to have those conversations and move your project forward, I would say. And in addition, there are some spin-off events. So if you know some places you're looking to go, you might be able to even get a more in-depth look at those locations, again, on the same trip. We do offer one in Maryland, of course. I would be remiss not to note that, which is May 8th and 9th before the event this year. And we do cover 3 tracks of industries for that, which is life sciences, cyber and technology, and logistics and distribution. So if anyone's interested in those, we're happy to give you the in-depth view.
Well, and I'm so glad you mentioned this, your spinoff event, but also spinoffs in general. But just for the audience, there are probably, I don't know, maybe this year 15 or so spinoff events, which typically happen either a day or two before the SelectUSA event, usually because that starts on Sunday. So it's the kind of Thursday, Friday before, or the Thursday, Friday afterwards, and not just in Maryland, but in many places. Of course, Maryland, you, besides seeing the great state, you get to have some crabs, soft-shelled crabs, which are wonderful, and
we'll take you on a bus. You don't have to go on a freight.
It's so fun.
You see at the same hotel. Nice and easy.
Good networking as well, for sure. Yeah, and you don't have to move your bags.
Right.
So with SelectUSA, and there are companies coming, as you well know, that already have some U.S. experience, have U.S. customers, but many will have not yet started their U.S. journey and haven't been to SelectUSA before. So are there some tips that you'd suggest in terms of how do companies get the most out of the event?
Yeah. Well, I would say certainly there's for the event, they have the opportunity to set up meetings in advance. I do recommend that. Companies that go booth to booth, you can go that route, but the person you might most want to talk to may be busy because it's a very big, very busy event. So to set those meetings in advance, because for example, on my team, we have people who are dedicated to different regions of the world. That's how we happen to be organized. So if you come to the booth, you will certainly speak with someone on my team who will be able to give you some information. But if you want to talk to the person who's specific for your region or might even speak your language, you may want to set that meeting in advance so that you are sure that you're speaking with the person you want, because it might be a little hard to catch people. So that's one recommendation. Set those meetings in advance for the ones that you definitely want to have. The other would be to take advantage of the networking events that are going on. On the show floor, I think they have some networking there in the evenings, but also different events at embassies if relevant, or there may be some state sector ones or other, local economic development offices sometimes have them. There may be sector specific ones. So keep an eye out for those and make the most of your time there. They can be long days, but you can get a lot done. And what else would I say as a good tip for companies coming in? Do your planning in advance because it does take time to get the visas in place. We find that a lot of times companies coming in, especially for the spin-offs, that might be a couple days before. We have had companies not able to get through because their visas didn't come through in time. So make sure you plan in advance, get that process started, get your registration, and book your hotel rooms. We've also locked out on the hotel rooms before because they booked up. So from experience, I can tell you advanced planning is necessary as this event has only grown over the years. And, it's getting tougher each year to make sure you actually get everything taken care of in advance and have a spot. So there's just a few practical tips for you.
Those are good, and the wear comfortable shoes and
all the usual trade show stuff. Yeah.
Exactly. Well, this has been fantastic, Jessica. I really appreciate you spending the time today. And is it okay if we share your contact information in the description below?
Absolutely.
Cool. Well, we very much encourage companies to make contact, not just with Jessica, but all the resources that you're looking to connect with at SelectUSA prior to the event, not just to make a meeting at the event, but even have a pre-conversation so that when you get there, you're getting a lot more done than just very preliminary information. So it's been great chatting with you today, Jessica, and really, really appreciate you taking the time.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, Bill. I appreciate it.
Awesome. Cool. We'll see you in 2 months.
Yes.